Hi everybody, it's Christine and I'm here with a little tutorial to show you how to make some fabric covered needle minders with fabric that you've used to make your project bags with. So these are the other tutorial that I had that shows how to make the project bags. If you have some leftover fabric and you want to make needle minders to match, I have a quick and easy way of doing that. Now this isn't particularly a finished one yet. As you can see, it still is the button, but I'm going to show you how to basically go from beginning to end so that you can have a cute little matching needle minder to match your project bag. So it's really easy. This is obviously not my idea. It's been around for ages and ages, and if you've done any sewing, you already know how to do this, so it's nothing new. But I thought, hey, there might be somebody out there that has never seen this before, and I thought I would show you how easy it is. So these little cover button kits that you can get anywhere, any fabric store, craft store. I got these at Walmart, and they come in different sizes. So this is a 7/8 inch, and this is a 1 1/8 inch. And you can kind of pick and choose what size you like for your needle minder. Some people like a little bit bigger. I'm going to just probably give you an example on how to do the bigger one today. But pretty inexpensive. They, to a certain extent, can be, well, you can make as many buttons that come in the pack. So this says 4 sets. So you can basically make 4 buttons out of these. And this is a little under $2. I think I paid like $1.97 for this, $1.77 for this at Walmart. So pretty affordable because you can get yourself a few needle minders out of it. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So I've got this fabric right here, and this is already an opened kit because I've used a couple of these. So what you're going to find when you open up the kit is this little plastic piece. This is kind of like a template to help you make the button. So basically you're going to find a few sets of these, but you've got basically the back of the button, the part that you're going to cover, and then this little template that helps you assemble it. So real simple. Go ahead and find some fabric. Now you can find some that you want to actually have a specific motif, like I'm going to show you here, but maybe you just have a solid color fabric or something that maybe has patterns just like this, which you can use too. And those are a little easier to do because you have to sort of do a little fussy cutting with these. So it's really easy. You open up the package and it's got this template on the back. So let me just pull this off. And you get your scissors and you cut this template out. Now, there's 2 ways you can use this template, or more than 2 ways actually. You can do several things, but I find that you don't really need to be too fussy with this stuff. I mean, I'm kind of a fly by the seat of your pants kind of person, and I make this work just by kind of winging it. So, and what I mean by there's different ways you can do this is, it says on here to place this on the fold. So if you wanted to, you can actually maybe fold a piece of paper or a piece of, thicker paper, and then cut this out and open it up and have a full circle as your template. I don't find that that's really necessary because you can just, fold the fabric. Okay, but I think, when you're going to make a motif or something like that, and you want to find a specific motif, you could maybe just cut a whole circle out, hold it up to a window just to kind of place it so that it's in the center. But like I said, you can be as fussy with that as you want. I'm not too fussy about it because I find that sometimes your motif ends up being a little uncentered, but it's all usually good in the end. So, okay. What you can do with this, because it's plastic, is you can kind of go around your fabric and kind of see, oh, what do I want my button to look like? So, you can kind of just go around and say, oh yeah, do I want it to, do I want to use that cupcake or this one, or maybe I want it a little bit bigger. I find that when it takes up a little bit too much of the space, it's a little harder to get it centered. So we'll just do something easy with this and maybe pick that one. That one looks nice. That one kind of looks nice too. Okay, so say for instance we want to use this little cupcake right here. So the size fabric you're going to need is basically a circle as big as this, obviously twice, well, okay, this is the half circle. So, and that's the diameter. So what I do, and I find it is pretty easy to do, is just find the motif that I want and just say, okay, I'm just going to kind of cut that in half like that, and then just kind of place this so this ends up being in the middle. Like I said, it doesn't have to be exact. So I just kind of do that. I hold this right on the fold, and you'll see what I mean, how it doesn't really have to be exact. Oops, you don't want to use your pliers, you want to use your scissors to cut. So now, okay, before I cut this, so say for instance you wanted to make a full circle, your template was a full circle, you know, what you could do is like put it on a light table or something, and you can kind of get this circle. This could be cut out of something maybe clear, you know, and that way you can kind of do a little pencil mark and just cut your circle. You can do it that way. Like I said, I think that that's just more fussy than you need to be. So fold this in half, put this here, and if you don't want to even do it like I'm doing it, where you hold the template and cut, you can get a pencil and draw the line too. So, you know, just play around with it. Do it to your liking. Okay, so you hold this here. Take some nice sharp scissors. When you see how easy this is, you'll be like, wow, that's so cool. And there might be many of you out there that said, oh yeah, I know how to do that. I've been doing that for years. Now, notice it has a crease in it. Okay, once again, I find if you want, you can go, you know, if you have your iron set up, you can go press that and get it smoothed out. I find that that's not really that necessary, because it seems like when you put it in the mold, it sort of pulls it so tight that it gets rid of that wrinkle. So I usually just leave it there, but feel free if you are a stickler for, you know, no creases at all, which I really don't think you can see it, but you feel free to go iron it at this point. My iron rarely sees the light of day, so, well, okay, when I make project bags, I use an iron, but that's pretty much it. Okay, so you got this, and then what you're going to do then, once again, is you're going to sort of place this clear little template in there, because basically what's in the center there is what's going to be, is what your button is going to be, okay? So you just really want to make sure that that's fairly centered. Okay, so here's the fun part. Okay, so see how that's kind of centered in there? Just get it, because this is that, I don't believe that once you do this that you can redo it, so it is kind of important to spend a little time making sure that's centered. Okay, oh, I should say, this is the open part right here, okay? So it's basically you just take this, you set it on top, because this is going to be the top of your button. So let me just take a minute and get that straight. Okay, it's straight, so you turn it over. Now, so this is the wrong side. Okay, now you take the part of the button that's actually going to be, you know, the smooth part that's covered, and you set it right down in there. Okay, and you get it kind of lined up, and then you just push it down in that template. Okay, now here's the point at which you can see, does my button look good? And so yes, you can actually redo this part. Now I can see it's kind of up to the top a little bit like that, so you know, I'm going to pull it out, and I'm just going to recenter that just a little bit again. And that looks, okay, I think I did it better the first time. I can't look straight overhead because the camera's here, so I'm having a hard time. These tutorials are always hard when you're trying to do things precisely. So, okay, I think that looks good. Yeah, it actually works out better to actually put it down on there. And you can see, okay, that looks good. So you just take it and you push it down in there nice and snug, and you'll see that the fabric kind of wants to curl up around there. So make sure it's nice and tight. Now this is really easy. So you just take all these little edges of fabric. So as you can see that's when I was saying when you cut the fabric early, you know, a little bit in that step earlier. It doesn't have to be so precise because you're just going to have this extra. Then you take this little button. Now if you want, because we're not going to make buttons, we're going to make Needleminders out of it, and there's going to be a magnet stuck there. If you want, you could go ahead and take this little hook off now. But I find that I like to kind of hold on to it a little bit right there. So you take it, this side, the part that doesn't have the hook on it, and you push it down in there. Then you grab this little template, or this little pusher thing that comes with it. Looks like a little lid. And you just set it on there, like that. Make sure that this is even. And then you just push with your thumbs really hard. Okay, and what that did is it kind of, oh, now see how it's not really pushed down on one side? So that's when you want to take your little lid. Takes a little bit of strength here. Okay, let's do that again. Pull it off of there. Make sure that's pushed down in there. Okay, so you take this, set it on there. I find if you have to really kind of center it so that it all gets kind of pushed down at the same time. So you kind of just stick that in there so it's nice and tight. Then you grab this other piece of the template, or the little pusher that comes with it. I don't know what it's called. It almost looks like a lid. And you take it and you sort of center it on there, because that gives you even pressure, and then you basically just push really hard. And this part, I find if you have a hammer or something, usually you'll hear it kind of snap into place. Oh, did you hear it? Okay, there you go. So you really push hard. I heard a little, and then you know it's in. And if you look around the edges, you can see that it's evenly pushed in all the way around. It might even use it a little bit more there. So, yeah. So if you have a rubber mallet or something like that, you can. But I find if you just, step on it, push on it, whatever you have to do to get it in there. So then you can grab your little pliers and pull it out. And look at that, guys. Is that the cutest thing ever? This little fabric covered button. And that thing is in there good, nice and tight. Okay, now, obviously you can keep it as a button if you want, but we're going to make needle minders out of that. So, grab your pliers, and since these are just made out of aluminum, I find that if you just grab one little edge of it here like this and just kind of work it out, because it's just kind of bent on the other side. And like I said, you could take this part out first if you want. Actually, let's squeeze it a little bit. All right, come on, there it goes. There, see, it's just that little thing. And then you kind of have a little raw edge in there. So, okay, now let's move some of this stuff out of the way and get my needle minder making stuff out. Now this, making needle minders this way, I learned by watching a tutorial from Tricia, the left-handed stitcher. She made a tutorial making needle minders like several years ago, actually, on FlossTube. And so she showed this technique where, you get the rare earth magnets. This is where I get mine. We order them online at K&J Magnetics. This particular one that I'm using here is a 1/2 inch diameter, and it's 1/16 inch thick. Now, you can get them in different sizes. I find sometimes the smaller ones work if you want the magnet to be hidden. And for this particular one, because these buttons are kind of deep, it's almost better to have like the 1/8 inch thick, for at least for the part that you glue on, so that it makes it flush. I don't have any 1/8 inch thick ones because mine are 1/16 inch. So what I'm going to do just for this tutorial today, oh, by the way, this is just a website you can go to. It looks like kjmagnetics.com, and get all kinds of the rare earth magnets that are perfect for the needle minders. So because I don't have the 1/8 inch ones, I'm just going to see how I have two 1/16 inch ones, magnets there, just to make it a little bit thicker, just for this tutorial. But what you do when you're going to make the needle minder is, you just get a piece of cardstock and you put the magnet one on each side, and that way it doesn't want to, pull every magnet, pull everything into it and, get out of control. Because these things, if you get another magnet close to it, you all know they're pretty strong. I mean, if you just wanted to, set this magnet down and then put this on top of it, and then, it'll just magnetize itself to anything around you. So it's kind of good to get it under control by just going ahead and putting a magnet on the other side so that it's there. And then it's just simple, simple, simple. You just get a little bit of E6000 glue, like that. squeeze. Just a little dab. You don't need much of this stuff, and it takes about 24 hours to really dry. So once you get that glue on there, and it's a little smelly, doesn't smell real great at all. So anyway, then you just take your button, go ahead and stick it on there like so. Make sure it's in the center. So I don't know if you can kind of see in there, but see the 1/8 inch is, you know, I take that back. You know what? See how it's kind of raised? I'm going to take that back and say, you know what? I'm only going to use one magnet. So let's see if I can do this without getting this glue all over myself. Set that there. Okay, these things are like, okay. Let's start over. Because I really have to, in order to separate these things, look at that, guys. It's like sticking through my fingers. Look at that. That's just crazy. Those things are crazy. Okay, we put that one way out of the way. Let's try this again. Okay, back to just one magnet on each side now. Okay. Crafting can be so much fun, huh? Just gotta, like I said, fly by the seat of my pants. Put some glue on there. Take your little button Needleminder. I want it to be kind of in the center, so we'll stick that on there like so. And I'm just going to leave that alone and let that dry for 24 hours. And there you go, guys. You have yourself a really cute Needleminder. And now I need to make a project bag to match this because I have the Needleminder but not the project bag. I'm going to set that aside and just show you just a couple of other ideas that you can do with it. If you want to see what the small one looks like, this is, so okay, that was the 1/8 inch. This is what the 7/8 inch kit looks like. They're a little bit smaller. So I had some of this fabric, which it's a pretty popular, common fabric that you can get at Joann's, I believe. And this was the template for that I cut out. And then I made this cute little Needleminder. And you can see that it's smaller than the one we just made. So, okay, this one isn't a Needleminder yet. It's getting ready to turn into a Needleminder, but you might prefer the little bit smaller ones there to use. So anyway, I made that. This one here is, okay, so this was one of the project bags I made with this adorable fox bag. See, I think I used that little face right there. I think it was a little tricky trying to get him centered because he's a little bit bigger than it, but, you know, play around with it a little, and, you know, because the little cover is, you know, the little template that you put it in is clear. When you stick it in, you can mess with that a little bit. And one more example of what you can do. This is a little bee that I cross-stitched. I made my son about 4 or 5 of these little stitched little motifs that were in one of the cross-stitch magazines. I don't know which one it was, but just to show you that you can go ahead and make these out of your cross-stitch pieces too. So you can cross-stitch a little. Now, if you look, if I hold it just right, you can see that you can kind of see the metal shining through the Aida there. So it's tricky doing those because I haven't made it with the linen, but with the Aida, because the holes are big, you can kind of see the metal through, and you think, oh, you can just put a piece of muslin fabric behind it to kind of cover it, but it makes it pretty thick, and I know that I had a harder time putting this backing on, even just with the Aida itself, because it's thick. I mean, I think I really had to get the rubber mallet and pull it. Now, notice that there's no button holder on the back of this, and I don't know why that is. I made this about a year or 2 ago. And I'm guessing maybe you can buy some that are just solid on the back. And if you can find those would be better to use, obviously, for Needleminders, because then you don't have to worry about taking the little button back off. But I don't know why this one doesn't have that. But just another idea of what you can do with those. And yeah, lots of ideas. So I think that's it today. If you guys have any questions, I think I pretty much covered all of the supplies that you need and how easy it is to make these. But if you have any questions at all, obviously, just leave them below and I'll try to get back to you. So, all right, guys. Well, I'll see you on my next update. Talk to you later. Bye.